Hey everybody, it's Pete. Welcome to a new episode of today's Best Stock Picks. It is Tuesday morning, August 4th, 2020. Today we're going to start out with talking about one stock that reported earnings and another stock that's about to report earnings and the different types of patterns that they have heading into earnings, which usually does a pretty good job of giving you an idea of what to expect out of the earnings. And it's kind of one of those buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. And I'm talking about Microsoft and I'm talking about Match.com, two very different price actions heading into earnings. And one, we're going to be looking to see the stock pause, setting up another trade to keep in our watch list. And the other one, we're actually going to be looking into earnings that come out after hours today. By the way, the list after hours today that's scheduled after hours is Disney, ATVI, Monster, TWLO, TWLO, Allstate, and Match. Before we get into those trades, though, I want to briefly say, hopefully you took advantage of some of the opportunities yesterday. Some of the stocks that we've been calling out day in and day out, it's really just a question of fine-tuning your entries and making the distinction between whether or not you're a day trader versus a swing trader, and then how you're going to take advantage of those opportunities. I think one of the most exciting ones that we looked at today is one that we actually called last week, that set up perfectly, paused for a couple of days, and then yesterday gave us a explosion in price action. And when I say explosion, that's obviously relative to the price of the stock. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But if you find these videos helpful, and especially if you're making money off the calls, it would mean the world to me if you click down, make sure you subscribe, and also leave a comment. If you're making some money, definitely let me know. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to share in the success with you. I'd like to celebrate your success, really. So the trade that I want to call out, it's really more important along the lines of we get a lot of feedback, and I especially get a lot of emails and private messages about when I time my swing trades, I seem to always be getting in too late. So in other words, you put on a trade, as soon as you put the trade on, it pulls back and moves against you. That's generally because you're not anticipating your trade. So I want to talk about this one trade that we planned last week and then triggered this week. So it's important, which I kind of said about Microsoft there as well. It's not always about the trade that you're going to make that minute, but making sure that you're in the right ideas and you have the right ideas in your stock watch, and then you set alerts. You set alerts in your watch list that if it gets to a certain level, which is a common question I get as well, you want to make sure that you're in that deal. You want to make sure you're in that trade. And that's on you. If we call out an idea, or if you have an idea and you miss it, that should never happen. That's just lack of preparation. And for most softwares, that's really just something as simple as setting an alert to get to a price. And we kind of mentioned it yesterday that you want to have your alert set for before the price gets there, so that you are aware of it prior to, if it does break out or hit levels that matter to you. Not exactly at that price, because if it gets to that price, everybody's watching the same thing. It kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and runs without you. So if the number is 50, set your alert at 49.75 so it pops up and now it's in your attention as well, and then you can make a decision up in that area. So we're actually going to head over to the charts. We're going to take a look at some ideas for today. And Microsoft is obviously the first one. So here's prior to earnings of Microsoft. We actually traded this pullback, couldn't get it going, so we kind of pulled the plug ahead of earnings. I'm not really a big hold into earnings type of player. But now we're actually trading at or near all-time highs after this spike up. And to me right now, I'm looking for a multi-day pause that stays above 212. And then the longer, hopefully at least 2 or 3 days, it pauses above 212 on lighter volume. Then we're going to be looking for it to initiate a new swing trade long, roughly for about a $20 profit potential. The other one we're going to be taking a look at, which has, as we just said, after hours today, is Match.com, MTCH, which you can see that the stock has spiked heading into earnings, and they hired a new CEO recently from, I forgot what the other name of the company was, but rallying into earnings and actually heading into right now what is all-time highs as well. So you can see here, take a look at a little bit different picture. So this one here, it's interesting. It's already pricing in the earnings announcement, and it most likely will have a higher move and then sell off over the next couple of days. So again, not forecasting, just what normally happens on runs into earnings. A lot of this good news is out already. So what is priced in, we'll see. But I just wanted to really give you a bird's eye view or a quick structure for paying attention, because we get a lot of questions about holding in and through earnings. And quite honestly, if you're an inexperienced trader and you ask If you should be doing that, you shouldn't be doing that. There's really no other way to put it. That just means that you don't have a plan for how you're looking to manage the trade. You don't have an idea of what that risk and profit potential is if you have to ask somebody about earnings season. So just be aware, that's a huge part of trading, is making sure that you're in the right trades that match your experience and your resources. The trade I'm talking about, of course, is RUN, where the stock had a really solid run, no pun intended, during July. And last week we said we're looking to bid this pullback in RUN. And you can see we actually got 2 days of consolidation, but it was in the watch list. That's the point. You can't miss these trades when they line up properly. And when I say line up properly, it means that the order flow is obvious. The pause to give you an idea, a chance to get in with profit potential is still there. And now we actually have a 43, 44 profit target on this, and a relatively stress-free trade because the stock paused for a couple of days there. Also, we have KODAK, which again, I gave a disclaimer yesterday. The stock moves super fast. You need to be able to manage your trades and make active decisions. But now the stock has pulled back. It's pulled back a pretty decent amount. It's got back to what we might call normal levels, which is still double from where before it exploded, basically. I like the stock as long as the volatility is in there. Obviously, I'm going to be looking to trade the stock long. I'm not looking to short the stock. I get some of my questions about that as well. So this is going to be maybe a little bit longer term position trade to start to build some shares, because they did get a big government contract. That's the reason for the stock exploding in the first place. And now it's pulled back to reasonable levels. MPC is another one that we're watching today. We're watching this simply because it keeps hitting this $40 level, with the next level being 60. There's actually some pretty good profit potential in this trade. If it can finally get above 40, let it get above 40 for a few days, and then look to start initiating position up to 60. CODX was called out in the CODX, not Kodak, CODX, Co-Diagnostics, in the community, in the boot camp, actually last week, where it finally broke out of this level, pushed and paused, and we said, keep this on your radar. If we get a fuel candlestick, which we finally did, actually sitting on a nice profitable trade right now. And if you look to the left, we are also off the charts. So we're literally managing a stock now at all-time highs, which again, as I keep saying, is something that you do with a trailing stop as it moves in your favor. A little bit of profit taking this morning, but again, make sure it's in your watch list. If it's moved too far, too fast, now you're going to look for a price action similar to this, where it pauses for a few days and you have a better spot to manage your risk to look for the next trade. Apple, I am actually looking for Apple to see some profit taking today. What was ironic or interesting from a relative strength perspective in Apple yesterday was that while the market was at or near the highs yesterday, Apple was continuing to flounder. And flounder is obviously a relative term because it had a monster gap up. But you can see here's the opening price, and the stock actually traded at or near the lows for a decent part of the day after having this big move, while the market was actually strong and making new highs at that point. So again, I don't want to get too far into the day trading weeds, but I'm looking for some profit taking over the next day or two in Apple, and then looking for another spot to run. Don't forget the Apple stock split at the end of the month. FSLY, hopefully you've been joining us in this particular stock. We've been talking about it for the better part of 3 months now. Really just a question of whether you're day trading or swing trading. It's been yesterday, it just produced an amazing, amazing finish to the day. It just kept printing new highs. So what do you do now? The question is, we're trading at these new levels. We've already exploded for, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row. It's a little bit late to enter a new swing trade right now. It's going to actually open up higher again today. I would absolutely be looking to day trade it again today. But again, I keep going into these scenarios where it's a day trade versus a swing trade. You have to ask yourself, what are the odds of this if you're swing trading, which in my universe is that 3 to 5 day window. Where do I think it's going to be 3 to 5 days from now? I don't think it's going to be higher because of how fast it's moved, and yesterday's massive green candlestick after a parabolic move. That's generally the end of that momentum. So I'm looking to book profits on a higher opening today, not looking to initiate a new short here. Same thing with OSTK. Hopefully if you're in the community, obviously we're taking advantage of it, and some really nice points earned here. But again, one of those trades that has now gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row as well, with a larger green candle after this type of momentum. So you can see we had a similar move here and a similar move here. And what followed was 3 or 4 days of consolidation. So if we get a higher opening today, which looks like it's opening lower, it would be more of a profit-taking scenario. If it actually opens lower and finds some support, which we've been really drilling down into what that looks like in the boot camp. We can still day trade it long. I'm not looking to initiate a new swing trade. Similar to DocuSign, same thing, right? And a couple of trades pulled out by somebody in the room yesterday that I just want to touch on. Another one we want to talk about here is SE, which is now, again, also exploding, also with a larger green candlestick, punching through new highs, a higher opening today. If you're swing trading in the window, if you're trading for cash flow like we're talking about here, not a bad idea to be looking to scale out on a higher move. You can always trail a balance of it, but if 7 days in a row, ask yourself, what are the odds of it going higher over the next 3 to 5 days, and then manage it from there. Rachel actually called out a couple of good trades, somebody who's new to the boot camp. One was CWH. We've actually had this stock in our watch list now for a while since this breakout, and she actually looked to initiate a new trade yesterday. You can see we actually had a really nice pause in the first day of the stock breaking out. Good job, Rachel, finding a new trade. It is one that we called here and started to trade it, so we've been in this stock for a while. And another one that I think is a good idea is Immunomedics, Immu. But what I want to point out here too is this stock is not a day trading stock. This stock is a swing trading stock. You can take a look at it and see the market does not have its attention on the stock on a regular basis. However, the chart setup, if you go back to all the classic technical analysis, it's pausing with the tight flag up there, whatever word terminology you want to use, and looking for this to follow through as well. And last but not least, CRM. CRM can be a tricky one where it tends to have some false breakouts. In this particular circumstance, you can see that we finally broke through 196, really punched through on some nice price action yesterday. But again, I'd be looking for the stock to pull back and pause before I'd be trading this nice breakout to the upside. So a lot to look at today. There's some really good opportunities. Some stocks setting up as profit taking, some stocks setting up as earnings, looking for the next trade, some stocks that had earnings and how we're going to manage those and set up the next trade as well. So a lot to do today. Again, congratulations to everybody in the boot camp yesterday. We're in the right stocks. The game plan meeting is paying off. If you're not in the boot camp, get in there. It's such a tiny investment for 30 days of us trading real time, and you learn how to do these, putting the argument together. You learn how to understand what order flow is. You learn how to read the tape, and that's where trading becomes fun again. So if that's something that's interesting to you, absolutely click down below, and we'd love to see you on the other side. Thank you, everybody.